Welcome back. Yeah, Dominic Russo, the victim that the boyfriend of Sir Mackenzie, his sister speaking out about it and everything. And to be honest, it's been about a year now, maybe a year and a half, maybe two, I'm not sure. But it's more of it coming out, and to be honest, she's fucked. Either way, the girl and her parents are fucked. Here's some of the comments. The girl's parents have created a monster. They would never be remorseful. Prayers to the family involved. They don't show any remorse. They really don't show any remorse. They really don't care. They care about their spoiled, rotten, nasty daughter. She's not a victim. It all started with the parents. Murder insane. Mackenzie Serial is guilty as fuck and is right where she belongs. 100. Her parents do nothing but enable her. Very true. Very, very true. And she thinks this is all a joke. She's taking pictures and posting this shit. Posting this shit like it's a damn... like she's a fashion model. Here's some comment. Here's one here. They should stick this Mackenzie girl in a 5x10 maximum security prison where she only gets to see light for 30 minutes a day. That might be good, because, to be honest, her parents enabled her, let her get by with this kind of shitty ass behavior. Thank God my parents didn't do this to me. God almighty, I'm glad my parents were absolutely on my ass 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. If I got out of hand at school, my stepdad, thank God, got on my case about every little thing I did wrong. That helped me out not to become like this right here. They always saying spare the rod, spare the victim, not the rod, or whatever it is, but really, they should put the rod in her ass. You wouldn't have this little monster running around. We'll go ahead and get to this, shall we?
People have argued over one question. Was the crash that killed Dominic Russo and Davon Flanagan really an accident? Or was it murder? Because according to prosecutors, 19-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla drove her car over 100 miles per hour straight into a building, killing both young men instantly. But now, a new Netflix documentary has thrown the case back into the spotlight. And this time, Dominic Russo's own sister is speaking out. Not just about the crash, but about what she says happened behind the scenes. The lies, the alleged lack of remorse, and the disturbing behavior she says she witnessed from Mackenzie and her family after her brother died. And some of what she revealed is honestly difficult to hear. Welcome back, guys. We're still on the case of Mackenzie Shirilla and the recent Netflix documentary interview that erupted mixed reactions online. Before we begin, let me know your thoughts in the comments, even though I've asked this question in the last documentary video I posted yesterday on this case. Do you believe this crash was intentional or a tragic accident? And if you enjoy true crime stories told with depth and detail, make sure you subscribe to Crime or Just It Is Important. Please. On July 31st, 2022, 3 teenagers were inside a Toyota Camry in Strongsville, Ohio. 19-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla was driving. 20-year-old Dominic Russo sat in the passenger seat, and 19-year-old Davon Flanagan was in the back. At some point during the early morning hours, the car accelerated to over 100 miles per hour before smashing violently into a commercial building. The impact was catastrophic. Dominic Russo and Davon Flanagan were killed instantly, but Mackenzie survived. And almost immediately, questions began to surface, because investigators would later claim this wasn't simply reckless driving. They believed Mackenzie intentionally crashed the vehicle. Prosecutors pointed to the toxic relationship between her and Dominic. They focused on the car's black box data, and they highlighted her behavior after the crash. Behavior many people describe as cold, emotionless, and disturbing. Mackenzie denied intentionally causing the crash. Her defense claimed she suffered from a medical condition called POTS, a disorder that can allegedly cause dizziness or fainting. According to her legal team, she blacked out behind the wheel. But during trial, no medical expert could definitively confirm that explanation. And in the end, the judge didn't believe it. Mackenzie Shirilla was convicted on multiple charges, including murder and aggravated vehicular homicide. She was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. But despite the conviction, the controversy never stopped, especially online. Recently, Netflix released a documentary called The Crash, and for the first time since being locked up, Mackenzie spoke publicly about the case. In the documentary, she insisted she is not a monster. She admitted she was driving the car, but denied being a murderer. She even claimed that if the crash never happened, she and Dominic would probably be married by now. But those statements have reignited outrage from the victims' families, especially Dominic Russo's sister, Christine. In a recent interview, Christine explained why she launched her own podcast shortly before the documentary released. And according to her, it wasn't just about grief. It was about fighting what she calls misinformation. Christine said she watched people online defend Mackenzie, question the conviction, and even campaign for her release. So she created a platform to speak for her brother herself. And while discussing the documentary, Christine made one thing very clear. She does not believe Mackenzie or her family have ever shown real remorse. In fact, she says that's one of the hardest parts for her to process. Not just losing her brother, but feeling like nobody on the other side ever truly apologized. And then, Christine revealed something shocking. She said that immediately after the crash, her family initially believed it was an accident. They even felt sympathy for Mackenzie. According to Christine, Mackenzie's mother allegedly told them that Mackenzie was unconscious in the hospital for days. So while the Russo family was grieving, they were also praying for Mackenzie to wake up. But later, Christine claims they discovered something completely different. She says Mackenzie had allegedly been awake shortly after the crash, posting videos from the hospital and allegedly discussing modeling opportunities online. And when the family learned that, their entire perception of the case changed. Christine also described tension with Mackenzie's parents. She claims there was never an apology, never flowers, never condolences, nothing. And she says the behavior shown in the documentary is exactly how they acted in real life. But one of the biggest debates surrounding this case is still the Potts defense. Christine says neither she nor her family had ever heard Mackenzie mention having the condition before the crash. And she strongly rejects the idea that Mackenzie simply blacked out. She explained that the road where the crash happened was winding and difficult to control even at normal speeds. According to Christine, someone who had truly passed out at over 100 miles per hour would likely have lost control long before reaching the building. Instead, the car stayed on course. And to her, that matters.
I knew that before this Netflix movie came out. For years, it's been a talk around the community. It's been on the news, a couple of shows, but I had a feeling that this was going to be so humongous. And I also have had to battle a lot of misinformation, a lot of lies spewing, and a lot of movements about freeing my brother's murderer. And I've been dealing with that for quite some time, and I've always felt and my entire family, very helpless, being so small on the internet, trying to correct misinformation. So I really just tried to establish some type of platform so when this aired, they could hear our voices.
What's the response been like to your podcast and what you had to say?
So much support. There's of course going to be trolls here and there, but overall, I was not ready to have so much support. I was like, wow, I didn't know that this would be so awesome. You know what I'm saying? I've heard other stories of people sharing their grief with me, just how I've made people feel better. My family is very thankful for sticking up for Dom. Like, it's just been overall a better experience. And the only other option that I had was to sit back and watch everybody else online talk about my brother and talk out the side of their neck, act like they no facts or, that they're all medical experts or mechanical experts. And, it was either sit back and watch the internet run wild with misinformation or do this.
So, did you watch the whole documentary? Did you sit through did you watch all of it?
I got to preview it. The producers flew in from the UK in January, and I previewed it then, helped make some edits. They took out some things that were not nice things that were said about my brother from certain people in the cast. And but since it's been out as of last Friday, I attempted to watch it for a minute or two, and I can't get further than that. I don't want to see it.
Is that because it's so difficult to revisit this moment, or is it because there's information in there that you say is not true?
I don't like to see that the Shirillas are not remorseful and that they just can't say they're sorry. And it's more of, I'm really good with disconnecting and making this like a story sometimes, where it's like not actually that my brother is gone in real life. It's like I'm kind of out of touch with reality a little bit. So watching it, it's just overwhelming.
When you say misinformation, whether it's what you believe was in this project or online, what is some of that misinformation that you're trying to correct?
Right off the top of my head for instance, Landon and Rosie, they make themselves out to be my brother and Davion's best friend. Like, they told the world on Netflix that they were best friends, and at the same time they turn around and say very terrible things about my brother and his lifestyle, and things like that. So I want to make it clear that they are not his friends. Then they weren't Davion's best friends. They were acquaintances. They say things like, "Oh yeah, I was best friends with Davion," or "I was best friends with Dom," but he was a drug dealer. It's like, no, they're Kenzie's friends, trying to make my brother look bad. Those are her best friends, and they just put my brother down, and that's where I draw the line. Is my brother's not here anymore, so now I'm going to defend him. So I just want to let the world know that they are liars.
What about misinformation regarding the actual episode, the actual crash? You talked about, you said everybody acts like they're mechanical experts. Have you been trying to battle people who say that this was not what the judge found it to be?
It's all over the place. So, like, one piece of misinformation or that people, went left with was, let's say the 253. Did you see the movie?
I didn't see
Did you watch it?
I didn't see the
Okay.
whole thing, but parts of it, yeah.
One of the pieces of it is Dominic texted my dad at 2:53 in the morning, "I love you." Everybody was like, "Oh, that was suggestive that he, knew this was going to happen or that he had something to do with it." Completely left. I want everybody to know that my father texts all of his 7 children, "I love yous," all the time, randomly, and that's something that we do back. So it wasn't that was Dominic knew this was going to happen, or it was some type of piece of evidence. That it was just, and it's not uncommon. We do it all the time. So stuff like that. Trying to think of, like, there's things that the world doesn't know, like why we know she's guilty. So when the crash first happened, I thought it was an accident for a while. So did my dad, so did my sister. Now granted, there's 7 siblings, so we were divided as to what, if it was an accident or not. And then some siblings knew other stuff. So Mackenzie's mom, so Natalie, actually, a couple of us thought it was an accident. Didn't want to believe it was murder right after the crash. Natalie Shirilla actually told us it was like 3 or 4 days. She was telling me, my father, and my sister that Mackenzie was unconscious and had not woken up. So we're sitting there praying for her, crying. I was just as upset for her that I had lost my brother at that second, okay? So for 3-4 days, as we're praying that she wakes up from this coma or, being unconscious, and she's going on and on about how she's going to tell Mackenzie Dom's gone and, praying that she wakes up. And come to find out, just a few hours after she killed my brother and Davion, she's in the hospital bed videoing herself making TikToks. And her mother sat there next to her trying to get modeling gigs all over Instagram within hours after killing 2 people. So things like that, and it's like, why would you lie
That's how
to
you
us?
found out?
She,
You saw the social media post, and that's how you found out?
yes, my cousin started telling us. I have a very large family, so with screenshots, and I'm like, something's not adding up. So then it's like, why would you? Why? As soon as after the crash, they started corroborating their story and lying and. I was like, why would she lie about this? Why won't she let her talk, or why would she say she wasn't awake? And now it makes sense now. Even when the police came to her, just to give her back her phone, she looked at the police officer, she looked at her mom, she said to her, "Can I just tell them that I had a seizure?" So immediately it was storytelling, so.
What did you think about the way her parents were portrayed, or what they said in the documentary?
That is 100% them in real life. I've been with them. They were at my house after the crash. Like, I sat with them through the entire trial. That is how they are in real life. The dad has been very aggressive towards me, in hearings and things like that. And he shouts out certain things when it's not appropriate. Like, no. They don't care about us grieving families. It's like there's no remorse or no guiltiness or I don't know. I would feel if my children, knock on wood, God forbid, hurt 2 other people like that, and if it was an accident, like they say, I would be sending them flowers and baskets of fruit every week, or letters. I still wait for letters in the mail sometimes with an apology or something, and it never happened. It's like they don't care. So that is from the documentary. That's really how they are in real life.
When was the last time you had contact with them?
As soon as she was arrested, so November 4th, 2022 was the last time. As soon as she was arrested, never heard from them again.
Steve has been placed on administrative leave from his job after the documentary. What do you think about that?
I think the whole thing in general, that my brother is gone and Davion are gone. I think the whole thing is sad. So when I first heard, I felt absolutely terrible. Life shouldn't be like this. Dom and Davion should be here. She belongs in prison. But to me, it's like, I wish she wasn't born that way. I don't know if it was nature versus nurture or what happened to her, but to me, it's sad in general. But at the same time, I don't like to hate. So, and I don't like to.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, look, talking about Mackenzie, the big thing was what she had to say in this Netflix documentary, where she said she's, not a monster. She has remorse. She thinks about Dom and Davion all the time. She said it wasn't her intent. She was big to say it wasn't her intent. What do you make of those statements?
It's a joke. You could hear the calls that, they have all of her calls recorded, and it's a little bit on my podcast that I try to listen to, and it makes me sick. But you can hear online all of her jail calls, and she's laughing at the victims, laughing at the family, laughing about getting famous. She is just so full of it. It was completely rehearsed. She couldn't make eye contact. She talked a lot slower than she did. That was not Ken. That was Kenzie. In the trial, she cried after the victim impact statements were read. Cried and cried, and then come to find out, she went in the back. She called her mom. The calls were pulled, and she's sitting there making fun of us for reading the victim impact statements. She's making fun of Davion's mom, laughing that why would she tell me to repent? Ha ha ha. And it's like, there is something very wrong with that person.
Well, she and her family have always maintained, right, her innocence, and they keep putting, this defense of POTS. In your experience with Mackenzie, did you ever see any symptoms of POTS?
Not myself nor anybody in my family even knew that she had that. Neither was there any medical records indicating anything about POTS, I believe. That was discussed in the trial as well. But us as a family, we never knew she supposedly had this. I still don't think she does. I think that they looked up what kind of ailment or something you can have to say that you passed out real quick that's not detectable. I don't believe she has that. And I'm not a medical expert, but the way that it's infuriating, the way the street is that it happened on, it's a big, windy like it's a long, windy road, right? And in order to maintain your car on the street, you have to maintain full control of your vehicle. You have to be driving with two hands at 40 miles an hour. I've done it. I've went through this just to see. So at 40 miles an hour, you have to have your hand on the wheel and you're whipping your car if you're trying to go at 40. 100 miles an hour, she would have been left, right, sideways. Like if she really did pass out and stuck her foot down on the gas, she wouldn't have made it to the end of the building to smack a building. She would have been off in a ditch on the left or the right, or Dom or Davion would have grabbed at the wheel. Like it's just it's bull is what it is. It's just not accurate.
I don't know if you saw this, but I did an interview last night on my other show, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live. That was 2 nights ago. And in this interview, I spoke with Kat Crowder, who actually was locked up with Mackenzie. She said she didn't observe any symptoms of POTS, basically characterized her as a mean girl in prison, basically said she never saw her show remorse, that there was almost this, I don't know if the word is like giddy, but like she was, you know, very like, not happy, but like kind of pleasant in the way, like she was, you know, kind of smiling and happy and jovial. When you hear things like that, how do you interpret it? What do you think? Because it's kind of matching up to your description of, you know, you believe she doesn't show remorse, and this idea of the image she's putting forward in the documentary is not accurate. When you hear that from somebody who was locked up with her, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna try not to get sad, but so I try not to cry and get upset, especially in these interviews, but I had one with Jumpsuit Pablo. It was like a week ago, and like the only time that I got upset, I went to say, he had told me in the calls that like she just doesn't show any remorse, and my thought was, oh my God, she doesn't care about my brother at all. She doesn't feel bad. She doesn't think about him, and to me, it's like he died. Like she didn't even love him. You know what I'm saying? He died for no reason, and that really that pulls my heart out. Like that she just doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no anymore since she was tried and convicted and sentenced. It's never in all her calls or her actions. I haven't gotten a letter of I missed like nothing. You would have thought that she missed Dom, you know, but he's not talked about. She doesn't care whatsoever. So that really, it makes me feel like he died for no reason.
What did you observe from their relationship? I mean, in the documentary, she says they were very much in love. She was thinking about marrying him. What did you observe in their relationship?
No. My sister actually, Nikki, lived next door to him while they were dating for quite some time. And just like any narcissist and abuser, she very much hid that in front of people. And he did share with his very best friends. Like he did share towards the end, just that, you know, he was breaking up with her. The last year they had been broken up. He was seeing other people on and off. She was seeing other people on and off. It was nothing but toxicity. He was trying to let her go. He was trying to move on. And she had nothing to go for her. No job, no career, no schooling. Like she had Dom, and that was it. And so you know, it's just it was you're staying with me, or that's it. But to me, as a bigger sister, I'm 13 years older than him. I didn't really see much, but the isolation. She very much isolated him. It was always, you know, we're a very close family. Holidays, he's the godfather of our children. Baptisms and every holiday, birthdays, and we're a very close, wonderful family. And once she became involved, it was all about her. Then it was, you know, oh, sorry, I can't make Easter because, you know, I have to go with Kenzie, or hey, I can't come bowling because, you know, Kenzie's not ready, or I can't meet you here today, even though I was supposed to meet you because something came up with Kenzie. It was like everything was about her. It's a textbook narcissist abuser. So
I do want to ask a little bit more about Dom, you know, because sometimes we get in a position where we're focusing so much on the crime, we think so much about the defendant, that we lose sight at times about who was taken away. Can you talk to us about what he was like, what your relationship was like with him?
I was 13 years older than him, so when he was born, he was like my baby, you know. Changed his diapers, fed him, woke up in the middle of the night with him, like taught him how to walk, you know, had that relationship. And then as he got older, he was like, you know, my best pal. And when I started having my own babies, when I started having my own kids, sorry.
You don't have to apologize. You don't have to apologize. I don't know. He was real. I can't talk anymore. It's okay. It's okay.
He was a really good uncle, and he was fun, and the kids loved him, and he loved us. But, yeah, he was a really good person, ambitious, funny, fun to be around. You could see now after he's passed, like how this really affected so many people. Just goes to show how loved he was.
Yep. I mean, that's what I see. That's what I see from following this case, from seeing it. Universally loved. I mean, it's such a special impact on all of you, and you know, you get to see that. And I also understand right now that you have a special connection, a very strong connection with Davion's sister, right? I mean, can you talk to us about that? Because I also don't know what your relationship was like with him and his family.
I had never met him, actually.
Oh, wow.
My dad just met him the day before that this happened. He was like a newer, I talked to Divine, and